Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai 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 Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai 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 Ram Jai Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Vanakkam, vanakkam, vanakkam. Pranam, pranam. Pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Swamiji, video not seen.
Video not seen. Not on, right? Video is on. Now we can see.
Ah.
For me to be here, we don't feel like we feel happy when we see it.
We feel full when we see Swamiji.
We see Swamiji, we feel happy.
Okay. So, day first day we were talking about the third chapter, no? Now entering into fourth. The first chapter of the firm. Here Papa says, the thrills of a new birth, a new life, with the sweet love of Ram was felt. A peace came upon Ramdas' struggling soul. The turmoil ceased. Ram's own hand seemed to have touched the head of his slave. Ram blessed. Oh, tears flow on for the mere joy of a deliverance. Sorrow, pain, anxiety and care all vanished. never to return. All glory to thee, Ram. The great blessing came from Ram. I take thee under my guidance and protection. Remain ever my devotee. Thy name shall be Ramdas. We would have read this chapter many a times, but we would request you to kindly apply your mind more and more on it. As we all know, when he landed in Erode, he had no idea about Trichy. When Sadhuram came and told him, "Where are you going?" Then he said he has no idea. So he said, I am going to Trichy now. I will take you there. And at the Trichy station he was dropped, he got down. And then he walked so many miles. How many miles?
6.
7 miles from Trichy. 7 miles, mind you. That means about 12-13 kilometers. So morning he started walking. 13 kilometers. And then when he reached, suddenly, he was reminded why he was carrying the talker cloth. Because that was the place where the Kaveri, Mother Kaveri, was on. There immediately, he was prompted to give the white clothes, put on the yellow robes, then followed the 3 important vows. But this chapter only gives us what happened exactly. He says the deliverance, Mothers will know the pain of delivery, And immediately after the delivery, what sort of, pleasant feeling that develops. So here he says, "O tears flow on for the mere joy of a deliverance." And what sort of a deliverance here? From a life full of sorrow, pain, anxiety and care. Sorrow, pain, anxiety and care. Deliverance from these 4. All vanished. Turmoil ceased. Never to return. That also you must understand. Sorrow, pain, anxiety, care all vanished and never to return. A blissful papa has blossomed, And then again, the great blessing came to him. I take thee under my guidance and protection. Remain ever my devotee. Thy name shall be Ramdas. Das of Ram, servant of Ram. So here also there is no traditional touch. In the traditional way, there are Dashanami Samskaram. So each Samskar, there are so many, like Saraswati, Puri, Giri, Sagar, Van, like that so many are there. So our name, that last name will be added along to this. That is the traditional form. Those who take sannyas from a sannyasi who is following the Saraswati group, they will all carry the Saraswati or Puri or Tirtha. No? Nowadays, of course, that is also going.
Swamiji, those who have Giri as the last name.
Giri Sampradaya.
Giri. If you remember right, Giri, Puri, Saraswati, Tirtha, Bharati, then Ashram is there, yes. One, Sagar, Akash, one more is there. So Udasi doesn't come in this. No. These are all laid by Shankaracharya, no? Previously, things were not in an order, so he streamlined the whole thing and established. So those who follow, they will get. Here we find it is a direct one. There is no intermediary called the tradition. So he says, your name shall be Ramdas, Das of Ram. And one more thing, you are remain ever my devotee. No? Though that is why though Papa reached the highest summit, he always openly said also that he would like to continue as the Das of Ram. So in the 4th chapter, intuitively he has been told, you shall ever be my devotee. Though the Lord and the devotee are one, the Lord gave him a special cross, a special title, that you will be my devotee. Even when in many of his articles or poems he has expressed his oneness with the Absolute, he continues to be the Das of Ram. When you get your vision for the month of April, you will find the first prayer. First poem, Papa's poem. I am the Supreme One. I live in all. All forms are mine. I rest, R-E-S-T. I rest in rocks, hills and plains. I grow in plants, verdure, trees. I creep in worms, germs and ants. I fly in the birds and fowls in the air. I roam in the beasts of the wilds. I act and move in man, woman and child. I shine in the sun, moon and stars. I rise and fall in the waves of the sea. I run and dance in the flow of the stream. I roar and crash in the thunders of the sky. I flash in the lightning and blaze in the fire. I fill the air, dwell in silent space. I glow in the twilight, sleep in the darkness of the night. I am the life that animates all things. I am the truth that abides in all things. I am the Supreme One, there is none but I. Yesterday we were talking about, the first prayer, that henceforth the life shall be consecrated exclusively for the meditation of and service of Ram. So at that time he prompted us to dwell that both as an indwelling reality as well as the all-pervading reality. So in order to give us some idea about how he is present in all, this poem answers. So here he identifies himself with the Absolute. But at the same time, in the 4th chapter, you will find, you shall ever be my devotee. But the devotee is given once in a way an opportunity to identify himself totally with the master. In Vyavahar also it happens, When you represent your company, when you represent your organization before somebody from some forum or some authority, you will identify totally with that institution. You will not say, I am an employee, I am a server, I am a volunteer. No. My organization, my ashram. That is how we will say. Even in your statutory forums where we have to file appeals, when we say that, we have to mention that. So even in Vyavahar, there are times when, though we may be an employee or a volunteer or a sevak, we are represented as the institution itself. We sign the documents. Normally in income tax and everything, when we go there, we used to take the power of attorney or a letter of an authorization. Suppose the boss is not going. So there, whatever we say, it will be taken as if it is answered by the proprietor himself or the president himself. So even in Vyavahara, these things are being done. Similarly, here too, the Lord gives him opportunities to identify himself totally with the master. But at the same time, he comes back as a devotee to act in the midst of all of us. Because when he acts in the midst of all of us, he has to become relative, he has to become a devotee only. And the name, Vittal Rao, Lord Vittal. Now he says, Ramdas. That means the moment the word is uttered, we are reminded that we are the Chela of Ram, servant of Ram. It's a great privilege. The master, who is seated within, himself does the naming ceremony. And then gives him an assurance. I take thee under my guidance and protection. Remain ever my devotee. Thy name shall be Ramdas. So for aspirants or devotees like us, when we go through this particular chapter, we might also get, inspired. Lord, I have been searching for you outside. I have been worshipping you in different forms. Never there was a moment when I realized that you are within me. Please, it is high time that I realize the reality that you are within me and therefore without me. And then you take me then make me aware that you have taken me under your protection. That is enough for me. This particular word, I take thee under my guidance and protection. Throughout the next 33 chapters, we will find, even when passing through adverse circumstances, seemingly adverse, there was never a complaint or a grumbling on the part of Papa. Because this assurance, it has not come from outside. Anything that has come from outside cannot become a part of ours. Simple fact. Today and tomorrow we will remember, day after tomorrow we will forget. That has been our experience. We have not been able to hold on to a particular absolute truth beyond certain level, because if it is coming from outside. But when it has come from inside, just like when we learn the driving or swimming, or when we learn the language, when we learn any art, any skill, it is not because we may be getting some guidance from outside, but ultimately the whole process is done by us, and the process is bringing out the outcome. So we have a direct taste of the outcome, and we know what are the processes through which we have to pass through. It gets stamped. It doesn't need any other authentication or authorization, ratification from any other source or field. Here also, Papa was blessed with this, unique blessing, very unique. That the assurance comes from within that you shall be ever under my protection and grace, protection and guidance. And you will ever remain my devotee. From that moment onwards, till he dropped the body, that was maintained, Thy name shall be Ramdas. Initially, when he said there is no need for an intermediary, many of us would have thought, okay, whatever we have heard, that is enough, let we will do. No, it's not like that. Only a person of Papa can say that there is no need for an intermediary. We need an intermediary, a spiritual preceptor, to show us the path, to explain the experience. Otherwise, how will we come to know? And again, we should not stop with hearing or worshipping that form. We should experience the deliverance, that is important. Thrills of a new birth, a new life, with the sweet love of Ram was felt. A peace came upon Ramdas' struggling soul. The turmoil ceased. Ram's own hand seemed to have touched the head of his slave. Ram blushed. Oh, tears flow on for the mere joy of a deliverance. Sorrow, pain, anxiety, care, all vanished, never to return. Every sentence we have to read, 100 times. Never to return. All glory to thee, Ram. The great blessing came from Ram. I take thee under my guidance and protection. Remain ever my devotee. Thy name shall be Ramdas. Yes, Ramdas, what a grand privilege it is to become the Das of Ram, who is all love, kindness, all mercy, all forgiveness. The uniqueness in Papa's approach, it gives us untold joy. when we come to know of it. Simultaneously, we must be able to pray intensely. Just like a day for yesterday, he made us to share that vows, they do help us. They do help us in getting connected with the Supreme, and also to ensure that there is no aberration, there is no dilution, while we are in touch with the world outside. So throughout these 33 chapters later on, we will find that Papa was ever committed to the three. And in this chapter now, in this introduction, again he is bringing out the uniqueness of his approach. Because there is nobody else, the sense of individuality and the power behind the sense of individuality. And this poem, I am the life that animates all things. I am the truth that abides in all things. I am the Supreme One and there is none but I. So the sense of individuality, becoming not aware, becoming well-rooted, grounded in that reality and still functioning as an individual. The unlimited is functioning through the limited. Every now and then the limited gets totally identified with the unlimited. Again, for Vyavahar, the unlimited comes out in the form of limited. So many dimensions, so many dimensions. So one more aspect is there, though is it possible because we feel we are finite souls, we are subject to death, then what happens to us? All those, because we limit ourselves to this particular sense of individuality encased in this body, mind, intellect. So we have never been trained to go beyond the boundaries of this body, mind, intellect. Although we would have heard so many Satsang, we would have met so many Mahatmas, we would have done so many sadhanas, still it is all within that, limit. So in order that we have some idea about it, Papa now brings out in the first para of the 4th chapter that it is possible to remain ever a devotee of the Almighty and also to become one with the Almighty and also to function as an individual based upon the realization. Previously, as Vittal Rao, he was functioning as an individual. As Swami Ramdas, he was behaving like an individual. But there is a vast difference. Previously, it was not rooted. It was not it did not get connected with the Supreme One. In the second one, it got connected. Though apparently it functions as a limited one, we don't know whether we have made it clear. It is very highly subjective. Something on which we have to ponder over deeply on this first para. He says, I take thee under my guidance and protection, remain ever my devotee. Though he has been remaining as a devotee, there has also been umpteen number of occasions when he identified himself totally with the Master. That is why this poem came. That means probably to make us understand that the sense of individuality got well rooted, well grounded. Though apparently functioning as an individual like anybody else. Well rooted. We will read out that poem again. No? I live in all forms are mine. I rest in rocks, hills and plains. I grow in plants, verdure and trees. I creep in worms, germs and ants. I fly in the birds and fowls in the air. I roam in the beasts of the wilds. I act and move in man, woman and child. I shine in the sun, moon and stars. I rise and fall in the waves of sea. I run and dance in the flow of the stream. I roar and crash in the thunders of the sky. I flash in the lightning and blaze in the fire. I fill the air and dwell in silent space. I glow in the twilight, sleep in the darkness of the night. I am the life that animates all things. I am the truth that abides in all things. I am the Supreme One. There is none but I. When you get a copy of April Vision, please. As soon as you open the first page, you will see the poem of Papa. This will all give us some idea, no? Some push. Early morning when we go out and see, when the birds fly, we will remember this. When we see the sky, when a mosquito comes, when a germ, when an ant comes, we see people involved in various activities. So there are nothing has been left out in this poem when you find identification with the Supreme One in all spheres of activities. And the same individual says, he is directed by Ram to tell that he is ever his devotee. This is a very, very important point. Not merely for academic knowledge, but as an aspirant or as a devotee, this has to be kept in mind. Okay, I function as an individual, but I should get myself connected with it, connected with the Supreme One. I may fail, I may forget, but I keep on trying. Yes, anybody would like to share anything on these?
Swamiji, Papa's poem in the mornings, we say Pahatecha Vedi. In that song,
Pahatecha Vedi Sthirani Shanta, that is one bhajan.
Then he said, sometimes we are the same together and sometimes we are in a Dvaita Bhava.
Might be, but this is more exhaustive than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Swamiji, this poem is in Prem Sudha? This poem is in Prem Sudha?
Is this poem in Prem Sudha?
I don't know. It is taken from the book Poems. I am the Supreme One.
Not in Prem Sudha, Swamiji.
Yeah, I am the Supreme One. Not in Prem Sudha. We don't give importance for Papa's poems. We will just close, we may not open at all in the vision when it comes. Please, Just like, the antibiotics is given in the form of a capsule. It is full of power, but it has been capsuled. Similarly, Papa has capsuled sublime, profound, subtle, subjective teaching in these words. So whenever he blesses us with a passive mood, sattvic mood, and when we just go through this, it gets a direct entry into our heart without our intellect interpreting. And at that time we get a thrill. And then we identify, open our eyes and see, yeah, it is there. Previously, we were reading it, that's all. And our intellect will definitely try to interpret. I know this, I know that, I have heard this, some other poem is there. We lose in that the joy of it. But here, when we are in a passive mood, devotional fervor is there, in a conducive atmosphere. When we are doing Ram Nam and we have quietened the mind, when we think about a Mahatma whose influence has really touched and kindled in us, like that, there will be so many occasions for us to be in that mood. At that particular moment, when we take up this poem and read, it has got a direct entry. Because we should know it is he who has prompted us to spot this particular poem. It is not because of our intellect. The moment the intellect comes to the field, it will start interpreting in its own way. We lose the original touch. So kindly, when you get the copy, kindly go through this and read the first chapter of first para of the fourth chapter, and try to link. Yes, anything else?
What is joy of a deliverance? Can you explain that, sir?
Joy of deliverance.
Yes.
Mothers will be able to explain it better. In our case, we can say, when we set a target and when we scale the heights, what happens with all the challenges we have to meet with during our onward journey. And the moment we hit the target, what develops in our mind? A sense of completeness, a sense of contentment, a sense of joy, a sense of victory, we cannot name it, Suppose a thorn is troubling us, an abscess is troubling us, and when it is taken out, not that we are getting a new joy, but that deliverance, we may not be able to explain. God is giving us all these in smaller doses, but we hardly try to recognize all these things. Suppose your body hits your leg, a stone, you go and hit it unknowingly, and then suddenly, it will develop, apart from the bruises, some inflammation there, and severe pain. When somebody suggests that you take ice cube and put it there, and when you put that, what sort of relief you get? from the excruciating pain, you get some relief, But that relief comes and goes. Here, this relief stays with us. That is the difference. Good. We should try to understand what is deliverance from, Mere joy of a deliverance. And if we want to learn more, we should go to the nearest maternity hospital and be there and hear. If the doctors they permit.
Others cry.
Yeah. When the child cries, what a joy it will be felt. If it doesn't cry, everybody is in a tension. Yeah. One instance I must have shared with you all, but still worth repeating because you asked for the deliverance. There was an orphanage in Calicut. Now it is not run. It has been handed over to somebody else. At the time when we were going, Ashram was also helping them. There were about, if we remember right, 200 to 300 children. There is an open cradle, something like a box. It is there, kept outside their doors. And when we asked them, the matron said, suppose the mother does not want to identify herself, but at the same time, because of compelling circumstances, she conceived, and she wants the child to be brought not under her name. So then this, all that she has to do is to come and deposit this child there. When the child cries, door will be opened, and the child is taken in and taken care of. So the matron was telling us, then afterwards we don't, never for a moment we think it's an orphan child. The moment we take the child with us, and the child, we through their various methods, the child stops crying and then slowly start taking the milk, and then they do all this, that will be everything, and they identify totally with the child.
Very comfortable.
So she says that as soon as the cry, we hear the cry, immediately door will be open. We will not bother who brought this, who deposited, no. When we were in Wayanad, one gentleman, suppose he happens to see a child just born and left. He will take the child and go to this organization and then leave the child there. And like Ashram, we were also working with a Jain who had a trust. So we used to give him, at that time, 500 rupees. Because when we know that an orphan child has been taken and taken to this orphanage in Calicut, a noble work he has done. Otherwise, some beast would kill. Nobody will know. So deliverance, there are umpteen number of ways by which we can understand the meaning of real deliverance, deliverance from the pain. And here the deliverance, he says, sorrow, pain, anxiety and care. Deliverance from that, all vanished. That means when we go deeper, it all stems from individuality, the individual level. So the moment we step out to the individual level, to a little more higher level, probably we would not have reached the highest. A little more higher level than the deliverance. It's all right. Previously we would make such a big fuss over it. No, we will not make a fuss over it. Because whenever we make a fuss over it, whenever we react in an opposite way, we should know that it has come from the individual level. So deliverance from the individual level to a higher level. And when we are in the process of deliverance from the individual level to a little more higher level, that will pave the way for the further progress. So our first job is to raise ourselves from the individual level. In the editorial it is mentioned, the same vision, the ultimate goal of spiritual journey is to rise from the personal level to universal level. As soon as we wake up in the morning and look outside, we realize that the reach of our vision is limited only to a number of creations seen before us. But when we go to the terrace of a building, we find that the same vision reaches out to a wider area, covering more creations. Again, from a mountain top, the vision covers a still wider spectrum of creations. And from the aircraft, it is much, much more. Thus, it is clear that the more we raise ourselves from our present level, our vision widens, bringing into its fold more and more of His creation. This is at the physiological level. From the spiritual level, rising stands for love, the common denominator in all creation, so that we can embrace more and more persons, more and more situations, more and more objects, whether animate or inanimate. So anything so that means when we say deliverance, 4th chapter, from here onwards we find that he has been able to raise himself from the personal level to a higher level. Never at the personal level, though he would not have reached the highest probably, but never at the personal. Because what is the indication? Then if it is from all these sorrow, pain, anxiety, care, grumbling, complaint, no? Adverse, we name certain things as adverse. We name something as pleasant. Here everything is pleasant, no? All positive, 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 positive. So today one more message he gives us. So try to what is spiritual journey? Spiritual journey is nothing but a movement from our present level to a higher level. We need not think about God realization, moksha and all those things. It will come by itself. But our job is to raise ourselves from the present level to a little more higher level. Whenever he makes us to confront, he makes us to deal with 10 situations, We try to raise ourselves from the individual level. So many points today he has brought. Anything else?
Hariom Swamiji.
Hariom.
You were mentioning about remaining in the 3 different states. One is remaining with the God, one with the God, remaining as servant of God, remaining in the individual level, separate from God. It is same as the 3 philosophies of the 3 acharyas, Ramdas, Madhva, and Shankaracharya.
Yeah, it may be possible if we make a research into their teachings. Because Papa keeps on telling this, that all means the one and the same only. But to them that is final. Some people may not accept it as the different facets of the one and the same. Doesn't matter. What is essential is we should intuitively realize, feel and realize that we have been taken over by him. and we are safe in His hands. Because we are under His direct guidance and support. We don't have to think in terms of security or anything else. We do that because we feel I have to take care. One more thing comes up in our mind. When we were born, when our mother conceived us, the present me in us, it was not consulted. We nowadays plan, for so many things, even to go to a place, to stay, to everything, our life, what should be the aim of our life, all those things, we plan. So there is a me there, I am there to plan first. This me was not consulted at the time of conception. Please think about it. So without our consent or planning or what I call, we started growing. Yes, who protected us? In the form of life force, in the form of all the indriyas, in the form of all organs, in the form of all systems. And now when we have become of age, we now unknowingly arrogate that we are planning. And that is why somebody pointed out, because we were not consulted for our birth, we will not be consulted for our death also. We were not consulted for our birth. So we cannot expect God to consult us, whether I can take you now, have you finished everything? No. So that remains a secret. Just like the birth was a secret. This points out how He has been guiding even without our knowing, even without our acknowledgement. I am the life, Papa says, I am the life. Without life, I don't exist. I am the life that animates all things. So every moment, whether we acknowledge Him or not, whether we pray, whether we appreciate Him, whether we recognize Him, whether we do certain things for pleasing Him, whether we ignore Him, whether when we say we don't believe in God, He does not leave us. None of these things get stopped, The moment we revolt against the very Creator, He doesn't stop. He has got such a vast broadness in His heart to condone all the nonsense that we do and still continue to guide us, protect us. We have to think about all these things when we read this first chapter. I take thee under my guidance and protection. Remain ever my devotee. It is not a thing, because we read it from Inquest of God, we learn it. No. The more we go deeper and deeper into it, we find, yes, He has been protecting me. I have not been acknowledging. I have not been recognizing. But still He has not left me. So just like that, in death also we should know that is certain, as Vinobaji says. Death is certain. But why does He not give us a clue? Achha, he has not given us any clue when my mother conceived me, no? And from that day onwards, till I came out, and then till I started walking, till I started becoming, then somebody started calling and identifying me as my name and the body. So slowly I started developing this me with the name, me with the body, then me with the mind, me with the intellect. That was all a later one. But this me was not consulted. Similarly, how can we expect that he should consult us before taking us? So we should be alert. We should, though it may be very cruel to say, we should be happily hand over our body, you know. Yes, now it is enough. You take it back. Wait, you have to be there for some more time. Okay, right. That should be the attitude. But on our part, we should say, we have fulfilled all that you wanted us to know. You have given us the feeling that we have fulfilled all that you wanted us to do it through us. Now we feel, by your grace, that we are free. Now, this is enough. What is that, sloka says, Dukhalayam ashashvatam, Nanu vapnuvanti mahatmanam. So there he says, the wise ones, they realize and say that this body is dukhalayam, ashashvatam. Enough, relieve me. It is not a statement we are repeating because somebody said. It is a statement that has come out of our real realization. That he gave us a good innings, he provided us so many things, he facilitated so many things. Now with a heart full of joy, we say, you have made us felt that, we have done our job well. Now kindly take it back. Ever ready. So many things, Papa brings out so many appendages in every day. Something connected with our very life. Mysteriously he brings it out. So before we close, we will read once again the first chapter, first para. We have not gone even to the other. The thrills of a new birth, a new life with the sweet love of Ram was felt. A peace came upon Ramdas' struggling soul. The turmoil ceased. Ram's own hand seemed to have touched the head of his slave. Ram blessed. Oh, tears flow on for the mere joy of a deliverance. Sorrow, pain, anxiety, care, all vanished. Never to return. Very important word. Never to return. All glory to thee, Ram. The great blessing came from Ram. And Ram says, I take thee under my guidance and protection. Remain ever my devotee. Thy name shall be Ramdas. Yes, Ramdas, what a grand privilege it is to become the Das of Ram, who is all love, who is all kindness, who is all mercy, who is all forgiveness. Some push, some push for our onward journey from the individual level to a little more higher. That is enough. If all these exercises, our meeting between 4 to 5, our doing Ramnam, our reading, our seeing Mahatmas, Swadhyay, all these things should help us one gentle push to raise from our person level. If that is there, we are game. Mataji says in the same vision, when your mind goes within, as a result of thinking about Papa's universal attributes, you begin to see him in everyone around you. That is Sakshatkar. When you start looking on your relatives and on the man in the street in the same light, with the same vision, it means that you have made spiritual progress. When you start looking on your relatives and on the man in the street in the same light with the same vision, it means that you have made spiritual progress. Previously at the individual level only, my relation. No? And the other one is a stranger. So you are not candidates. So what is this? A little higher, little higher, little higher. In the form of compassion, in the form of forgiveness, in the form of love, in the form of selflessness, in the form of sacrifice, in the form of self-effacing. But we don't go to the front, we come to the back. No? I think that will do for today. Hari Om. Everybody is keeping quiet. No sound.
Hari Om, Swami.
Swamiji, Prem Sudha, cosmic eye.
Prem Sudha?
Prem Sudha. Padma.
Cosmic eye.
Cosmic eye.
Cosmic eye.
Cosmic eye. Okay.
Eye is the poem.
Okay.
No, no.
Poem.
Om Shri. Eh?
Sarvavyapi.
Sarvavyapi.
Sarvavyapi. Yeah.
52 page.
Page number 50.
Sarvavyapi.
Yes, just I found it. So I
Just I found it.
Okay. In one of his articles, he says, 4 things. First, we have to feel his nearness, and then slowly start feeling his presence within, and then seeing him outside, and then to become one with him. Samipyam, Sanidyam, Vyapanam, Ekatvam. Same thing. So let us all intensify our prayer. Papa, you help us to move a little higher from there. I have read so many things, I have done so many things, but still the level is the same. Help me to rise a little higher, please. Then only I will know that I am safe in your hands. Because I got totally separated from you, I am planning everything for myself. And you don't come into the scene at all. Now you make me understand that whether I know it or not, everything is done by you through me. And you are allowing me to arrogate that I am planning. Why don't you please remove that and make me aware, so that I feel I have risen a little more higher than the individual level. So let this prayer be intensified, by all of us. Hari Om. Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, 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 Jai Jai Ram Om. Om Shri Ram.
Hari Om Swami.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om. Pranam, Pranam. Eh? Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om. We are seeing everybody. Hari Om, Hari Om. Many cannot come. Only limited, you know. Hari Om, Hari Om. Stop. They keep on telling.